Hey YouTube, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? I'm gonna talk about some different stuff tonight. Stuff that I might not have talked about so much in the past. Yeah, at least it's not gonna be completely different. It's just maybe this will help you guys understand a bit more where I'm coming from with some of the things that I say at times. So I really there are some things that register with me, or some things that hit home with me a little bit, quite a bit more than certain other things. And I imagine I have a lot in common with many of you guys out there, so I imagine much of what I'll say you guys will understand very well. So, starting somewhere, I think somewhere when I was about 14, I'd say. Right in that ballpark, when I took more of an interest in women, of course, girls. Um, Somewhere in that vicinity, I started to develop my own thoughts about what kind of life I wanted to have as an adult. As many of you guys do, I started to develop my own likes and dislikes, my own thing, right? How I wanted to be. And how I wanted to be was still the way I was. I knew who I was. I've always known who I was, much more than most people. So that knowing who I was, it's not always a question of knowing who I am. It's a question of knowing how I relate to other people, and how I relate to the rest of the world, and where I belong in the world. It's where I belong in the world, much more so than knowing who I am. So trust me, I know who I am. Yeah, it's just a question of, where do I fit in? Who do I talk to? What do I do? Where do I live? These things are the things I've been struggling with and dealing with in my adult years, mostly. And so, the nature of the beast, right? This is the nature of the beast. And I'm at most at my true self when I'm actually, I could be doing creative writing or composing, or there's many other things too. Spending time with people that I click with much better, and you know internally when that's the case. I definitely am more of a peace and quiet type of person in general. Right? It doesn't always mean that my music is always very quiet or softer dynamics. It can certainly be that way, but I definitely enjoy writing louder music as well. It's just prefer a lot of contrast, but more than anything, emotion, drama. A lot of times, not always. Sometimes I write some very chill pieces as well. It all depends. So it's just anyway. It's been hard to figure out all these things: where to live, pricing. Sure. Oh yeah. It's been hard to know always who to spend time with. Some respects it comes easier. Other respects it's a little harder. It's hard to know. It's hard to make decisions like that. Often kind of just avoid doing those things until I'm like, oh man, I need to make a decision, right? But just talking about living my own life and that sort of thing, and that direction of thinking, there are times when, I'm like, so how much ownership do I have of something? I have my own business, which, self-employment taxes are my cross to bear, I suppose. Largely that. But it's a few other things maybe, but it's just, I continue to just find out more and more with this sort of thing what works the best for me. And it's kind of a continual process until I get to an age where I know exactly how I want to do things, and that's the way I'm going to do things. It's hard. This life is hard for everybody. There are people 20 years older than me, 30 years older than me, 40 years older than me that continue to struggle with these same things. So it's not always a question of age. It's just this life is hard. It's very confusing, you know. But I am upset still by many things that have happened in my life. I think a lot of people will sometimes feel like the colleges they went to are like their homes. The thing is that it is actually, I don't know, what's the best way of putting this? It wasn't. It isn't. You paid money for classes and you lived maybe on campus, maybe you're close by it. But the college was never your home. You didn't own a house on the campus. They did things that were independent of what you wanted. The only way to have a college as your home is if you found a college yourself, kind of thing. It was an illusion in a way for me to ever feel like BYU was my home. That's an illusion. We have J.K. Rowling in like Hogwarts, for instance, where it's often said, some people say, Hogwarts is my home. How many times have we heard this? The thing is that no matter how much you dislike J.K. Rowling's maybe liberalism, or some of you guys actually like her liberalism, either way, no matter what you think of her politics, she brings out her heart, her feelings about how she feels about school. Right then and there. J.K. Rowling very much likes the idea of a school being like your home, or finding some place like that. That's not just your home, not just your actual house, but maybe some place that is like a school or college or something as your second home. She knows precisely how I'd feel about what BYU at one point in time in my life. The thing is that it was never my home because I didn't own any property on campus. Or I wasn't on, I don't know who owns colleges anyway. In this case, it would have been the church, my church, I'm a member of, but the church owns the college, not me. And it's the same thing with public schools, public universities, it's owned by the state. Private schools, it's owned by whoever. So, colleges now, if you ever call a college your home, it's only something it can only be a passing thing. It can only be someplace you have fond memories of, hopefully. Someplace you worked hard at, That's all it can ever be. It can never be your home unless you yourself found the college and own it. It's the same deal with the business, If you work someplace your entire life for a long time, it's still not your home, even though it takes so much time out of your day. If you don't own it, ultimately you're working for somebody else, and they're determining everything. Yeah. So that's not cool, right? But just think of the number of people that do that still, and that keeps the economy going. Somebody's got to do some of this work, right? Well, I don't know. It wouldn't make sense to have everybody have their own business, because then it'd be impossible for the businesses that do need to be bigger to operate. So you do need people that work at other people's companies. It's just a question of, how big do we need these companies to be, So say what you want about that subject. But this whole ownership thing, or feeling like you own more of what is going on in your life. There's all kinds of people that talk about this sort of thing. I'm not a life coach, but this is very evident to me that this is a thing to talk about. This is a thing to think about. Very intently so. So there are a lot of people that just don't value your time. They don't value the efforts that you put in to their company. Why work for them? Work for yourself if you can. Do something different. Work for somebody who does respect your time, does pay you better for your time. That's the way to do it. Employees should never feel like they're being slaves to employers. The more that someone feels that way, the more you feel like you're a slave of the system. The more you can break out of that, the more you can feel free to break out of that, the more you don't feel like a slave to the system. So colleges were supposed to help us. That was the idea. Colleges getting advanced degrees. The idea was that you get the degree so you could improve your chances of getting out of that whole thing. Well, that's not always the case again. Not only when the economy's bad, but there are many changes that happen in the economy to begin with. We don't always know if you get jobs or not. And some jobs are very competitive, and depends on the employer, it depends on, it's just kind of like, it's a zoo, the world's a zoo, that way. So how can we make sense of what to do? Well, my parents know a lot of things, but they don't know everything. My church leaders know a lot of things, but they don't know everything. What has to happen is we have to keep getting out of our little box, every single one of us, wherever we can, every day. We have to keep trying to find new people, new things to do, new things that we prefer doing over the things that we've done in the past. That's what we have to keep doing until we can't do that anymore. Until we have to say, it's time to retire, it's time to just do the things that matter the most to me, period. Whether or not they're being paid for it or not. We don't need to have gobs of money, but it's nice to have some. Because then we can always do things with all that money. But it's not the reason to live. It's just, anyway. There was a time in my life when I was younger, when the idea was just to have a job. I wasn't finished with my college degree yet, undergrad, just summer work kind of thing for the most part. Even looking back on those times, I sold myself short. I didn't maybe fully think through what I could do at that point in time. And I must admit, there's times when I feel very weary of what I still need to do, what I still ought to do in life. The amount of work needed is just, but I know it has to be done. Just in the summertime when you don't have air conditioning, it's very, very hard to get to some of that. But there were times when I said, oh yeah, I'll just take the job. Even though it's not fun at all. It's not even remotely fun. People give you a bad time when you're in retail. Yep. Unless you have a great experience working for a company or store that everybody that comes in is really nice to you. You can talk about brainy stuff or fun stuff. Gosh, yeah. That's what I should have done. But I guess those kinds of jobs are always very competitive, and employers don't always hire the best people anyway. They just hire sometimes whoever's available. I don't know. Every employer's a little different, but as looking back on that stuff now, I knew it was kind of a joke to begin with, and well, it is kind of a joke, to be honest. Most work like that, it's a joke, right? Get out of it when you can. If you make it a career, there are worse things that can happen in life, but yeah, most of you guys don't want to have retail be your career. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad I have not been that way myself. But getting back to ownership of your life, ownership of everything. I don't know if many of us fully realize what that means. There's always, things to accomplish. There's always demons to face. There's always something some kind of battle, whatever it is. But when we live lives where we aren't fully in control of whatever it is, different aspects of our life, we feel like slaves. We feel not fully independent. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I don't like it when somebody lumps me into some category. If I think I belong to a certain category of people, great, and that's great until I realize at some point that something isn't quite right with this category. I don't fully always belong to this category of people. Maybe it's not the end-all be-all of the only people I need to associate with, or the only group I should identify with, right? I don't know. I imagine what I'm trying to say will make more sense the more that either you guys go through these experiences on your own, you get older, you get really old maybe, some of you guys' cases or whatever. Some of what I'm saying will hit home more. So there's a lot of people, we can look up to whoever. We can think, even if you don't know this person, the boss, your manager is more intelligent than you. They are somehow the person to become. If you work harder, if you do this or that, you'll become like they are. There's that mentality in work. Look, in college, the idea is to become just as knowledgeable, more skilled than your professors or your professor. Wait, what's the goal in college? Do they like it when you just keep paying money, giving them money, and they give you a piece of paper that says you're certified or you have this or that degree? In employers, it's just supposed to say, hey, wow, you spent all this money, all this time doing this stuff? Wow, you're hired. No, they don't always say that. Why don't they always say that? Well, it's because it's always a question of who they're looking for different kinds of work. It's always how it is. I'm going to just head back this way. That's always how it is. They don't tell you that in college. They don't tell you very much at all in college. What do they tell you in college? Do what you want to do. We'll provide minimal counsel in that regard. And really, colleges, that's what they basically do. It's pretty minimal. You have a faculty advisor or somebody that kind of was supposed to talk to you about these sorts of things. Do they? Well, if you ever do, I can guarantee you it's not a very time-consuming thing for them to do. It's not, I don't know. If you work with a professor, some capacity, and they are your faculty advisor, then they're basically your mentor, and they should say some things in regard to your future career. If they don't, they're not doing their job, but I doubt that they're going to get fired. Colleges still don't serve students very well. They don't. There's too many people that are unemployed, that have all these degrees. Colleges are disconnected from the private sector, as I mentioned before in other videos. Way too much so. It's kind of a joke. We know that there's a money grubbing element to colleges. So, the more programs they can have, the better. They can get more and more students signing up for more and more classes, bigger programs, more money. Get all the money we can get from state and local and federal governments and every source we can. Just money, money, money. Money for research, money for professors, money for programs. What can we do about tuition increasing? Yeah, that's the dollar speaking again. The thing is, for all those who don't have gobs of money, and even for people that do, but that money goes, people sometimes spend a lot of it. A lot of us are just not noticed as much when we're not as well off, which is really nice. Who wants attention on them? Who wants the IRS breathing down our necks even though we do our taxes perfectly? The more money you make, the more the government's going to want that money for taxes. And who wants to be a celebrity when it's great to be loved, or it's great to be whatever? It's great to have people, whatever, think you're hot stuff, but who really wants that attention on them? What we want is we want people that we can love, and they love us back, and we feel connected to. That's what we want. We want the necessities of life, and we want to contribute to the world. And whenever things get in the way of that, that's the problem. So how do colleges help us? Well, it's a mixed bag. And when you attack colleges, or you attack government, or you attack whoever, private companies, they don't like it. And so everybody's just ending up squabbling. Over what? Money? Over how many people are doing what? It's a fallen world. It's an evil world. It's a crazy world. Anybody who's older than 18 should understand this, even the most naive of us. This is a fallen world. This is an evil world. It's an unfair world. There's crap that we all go through, and it's not going to go away sometimes until after we die, for many of us. So we're just trying to figure out how we can minimize this crap, because crap will come whether we want it to or not. By the way, I haven't been in this particular neighborhood for a bit. I used to do Pokemon Go. Yet another company that made a fun little thing, and oh boy, I don't know. Whatever. It was fun. So I don't know. There's a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of crap coming from people, even face to face, you talk to sometimes. So many people are full of crap. I look these things up online sometimes. People are full of crap. I look that up on purpose, just to see what turns up. Now, I know that I come from a great family. My church is great. There's supposed to be really positive people in my church. But I look this stuff up because I'm just like, when you come from a background where your family is kind of looking after you, and you find out that a lot of people aren't that way. They're not always kind to you. They're not always considerate. They don't always pay you what you should be paid for work. Times at work, they're looking at how can I take advantage of you. And if it's not something professional, then it's something personal or something, dare I say, sexual. It hasn't happened to me, but there are a lot of people that are taking advantage of sexually. It just drives me crazy. It's, to say the least, it's a spiritually crazy, nutty thing. But I can't deny that it happens. It does happen. And so I look up, people are full of crap online. Then what comes up? Well, it's more confusion. It's more of this, oh, guys are full of crap. Girls are full of crap. No, it's not gender. It's not a gender thing. It's a race. No, it's not race. It's not race. It has to do with ages. No, it has to do with generations. Generation X versus generation. No. It has to do with socioeconomic backgrounds. Wealthy versus poor. No, it's not that at all. It's religion, right? Certain religions are better than others. No, it's not that really. What is it? Which people are full of crap and which people are not as full of crap? If there was a College Humor thing a while back that said everybody's ASS hole, right? Whatever. Because they're going on about how people in some form or another will gossip, talk behind someone's back, or these little things, maybe little things that make them cretins and stuff. College Humor. Are they omniscient? Even though they're supposed to be, the idea is that they're supposed to be funny. Are they even remotely correct? If you have a sour attitude, nobody wants to say they have a sour. Nobody wants to be called out for having a bad attitude, even including me. But when you think that people are full of crap, let's be honest, that it's not the greatest attitude in the world to have, but it's very understandable why someone might feel that way at times. Of course. If you've been taken advantage of in life, a lot of things haven't gone your way, yeah, absolutely. And you have people that keep picking on you, even though they think they aren't. Get away from those vampiric people as much as you can. People that just drain your energy. I know. They exist, and many of them think that they're going to heaven. The more that they critique people and are vampiric themselves, the more they think that they're getting some kind of brownie points. It's hilarious, really. It's like, so you keep the 10 Commandments, but you are a total turd to everybody. Wow, I bet you God's going to love you. Oh, you're an outstanding person, Right. Exactly. No, that's not the way it works. There's a lot of things we don't know. We just try to keep living the best we can. Keep trying to be people that are happy and invite people into our lives that are happy, and that's the idea. I mean, ideas, again, it's not only ideas of heaven and hell and God's judgment, but I didn't want to talk about that so much. I want to get back to what I'm talking about earlier here. And I might make more than one video. We'll see. So there's a lot of things that are not true that you read online. There are a lot of opinions. And how do you make sense? How do you really find what's really, really, really true? How do you know? How do you meet those right people? How do you meet the right kinds of people? It involves going places you haven't been to before. It involves being brave, saving up money, going somewhere, talking to people, taking a chance, getting beaten down and then coming back again. If you know that some environments are just not going to result in too many people that you want to meet, reflecting myself as well, it's time to try something else, something drastic perhaps. Sometimes we can just misjudge people. Sometimes, I don't know, it's all kinds of crap like that. Guess who's trying to confuse us as well? I don't need to tell you who. And by the way, I know this is always the case. This particular area of this street, it's just dark. It's a dark forest area. I don't know. I actually haven't walked down the street in the evening for a while. Not really sure why. I guess I just haven't done it for a while. Anyway, it's still a very, very scenic area. So I think we know some of the basics of how have more freedom and take more ownership in our lives about various things. I think we know. We know. And sometimes I think the restlessness of being in a job, for my case, I have a job for over 10 years. I think it's time to try something different. It shouldn't always take that long. The jobs I had when I was younger didn't always last very long. A few of them were a little bit longer, but whatever. Yeah, maybe it's time, to do something different. But you need time to. You need time to yourself. That's not having to deal with the heat, to maybe properly make sense of what to do next. Sometimes you can get very confused by a lot of things in life, and it's helpful to get back to more where your element really should be. I know what that is for me, and it's hard to say no to Utah and Idaho, but I really wish there was less country bumpkins over there. I wish that there's more grad school opportunities and what I want to do, but that's a different subject, I guess. But something else I was mentioning. What was it? Oh yeah. So there was a tone in this video. I have to wrap this up quick. Maybe make another one in a bit. I'm just going to sum it up by saying this. Don't let your bosses tell you, or don't let anybody tell you how to be. Or, in order to do this or that, or so that, you have to be this way. Who are they to say, to dictate your future jobs? No, they're out of order. It's totally your choice how you want to be. It's your choice how you want to be. Oh, it's yours. Don't let anything, anyone that you don't love, let your parents, if you love them, help you with this. But, oh man, there's so many people are totally out of order if they say anything about being more aggressive or being this or that kind of person to have that kind of job. They're wrong. 100% of the time, they're wrong. If you know that you could be this way, and you want to be this way, in your heart of hearts, no exception to yourself, then okay. But if somebody else is just telling you this, who are they to say anything at all? Even if they're trying to help you. No, it's up to you. It's up to us. It's up to me. Okay, I'm making another video here soon. Talk to you guys later. Leave me thoughts, comments below. Catch you guys later. Bye.